Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams happening in February 2025. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. First things first, I'm going to take you through examiners' comments with the intention of ensuring you know what's expected from you, and you need to adhere to these guidelines when conducting your preparations. And in the second part of today's session, I will share some tips with you to make sure that you develop a high level of confidence, because as per the CIMA examiner, if you are confident about your skill set, then you are halfway through your examination. So with that in mind, I will be sharing these tips with you. And lastly, I will be sharing some information about what you need to do to manage your stress levels, especially when attempting your mock exams, because if you are capable of managing stress levels when conducting your preparations, then you will successfully manage your stress levels at your real examination as well. And let me remind you of the upcoming workshops which we have scheduled for you. So we are kickstarting the workshop series from next Saturday at the same time, in which I'm going to take you through a question to do with your F3 syllabus. Once I've taken you through this mock exam and its answer, you will understand how to tackle such a question at your real exam. And at this workshop, which is happening next Saturday, I will be conducting a Q&A. Because as per our study plans, by the time you are attending these workshops, you should be done with some mock exams, and definitely you will have questions. And if so, I will address all these questions and concerns via these workshops during the Q&A. And similarly, we are also conducting workshops focused on your P3 and E3 syllabi. And 2 or 3 days before the exam, we are conducting a final workshop in which I'm going to share last minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into your examination with a higher level of positivity. So let's look at what your examiner asks you to achieve when conducting your preparation. So the examiner says that if you are to gain good marks, you need to develop good answers. And if so, you need to always develop answers which are totally aligned with each requirement. So relevance to the requirement is key. And with the intention of ensuring that you do exactly this, when teaching you answering technique, I highlighted the fact that you are supposed to, before you develop your answer, right after reading through the scenario, you are supposed to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a concise manner. So the requirement could be, lengthy. Usually at your examination, at this stage, the requirements will be a bit lengthy. So rather than going through a lengthy requirement and trying to figure out what the requirement is, in order to gain a clear understanding of the requirement, you are supposed to reiterate each task or each requirement in your own words in a concise manner. So if you attended the third webinar, you know what I'm talking about. If not, please watch it, which can be accessed via our YouTube handle as well as via our student dashboard. You can access the recorded version of it. And on top of that, if you refer to our answer plans, you will know exactly what I'm talking about, because in each answer plan, we have reiterated each requirement in a concise manner, in simpler terms, which is the best way to understand or gain a clear understanding of what each requirement is all about. And on top of that, simplifying the requirement helps you when it comes to, developing the answer plan. So let's assume you are halfway through the answer plan. It makes your life easy to always check and see whether your answer plan is 100% aligned with the requirement when you have a simplified requirement at your disposal. So this is why, in order to develop answers which are totally aligned with each requirement, you need to gain a clear understanding of each requirement. So with this in mind, you are supposed to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a simpler or concise manner. So that's number one. And number two is, when developing your answers, the examiner is testing your theoretical knowledge or technical knowledge. And at the same time, the examiner is testing your application skills. So as you know, if you have done the OCS or MCS exams previously, you know what I'm talking about. The OCS exam is a highly technical examination. So you have to, be conversant with all syllabus areas, and, in your, questions, your technical knowledge is heavily tested and a bit of application comes into play. But at the MCS exam or the management case study examination, 50% of the time, your theoretical knowledge or technical knowledge will be directly tested, and 50% of the time, your application will be tested. And at this examination, at the SCS or the strategic case study examination, your technical knowledge as well as application skills are heavily tested. So you have to have a good understanding of all theoretical elements covered within your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. And just learning theory won't help. You need to understand how to apply your knowledge when developing answers, because this is the most practical examination out there if you look at the 3 case studies. So since application skills are heavily tested, you need to know when developing answers, you need to know how and when relevant theoretical concepts should be brought in with the intention of developing a holistic answer. For instance, there could be a question which is intended to test your knowledge about strategic options. So the examiner won't ask you to utilize the SAF framework. So because if your knowledge pertaining to strategic options is tested, you need to utilize the SAF framework, or the suitability, acceptability, and the feasibility framework. However, the examiner is not going to directly ask you to utilize the SAF framework. Instead, the requirement will read as, these are the issues, these are the opportunities faced by the company, and you are supposed to carry out an evaluation, thereby evaluating each strategic option at hand. So when evaluating a strategic option, you can consider the advantages and disadvantages of a certain strategic initiative that the company is trying to exploit. You can always do that. However, in order to make sure to develop a holistic answer, in order to gain the most amount of marks, you need to utilize something like the SAF framework. So you can build your own arguments, thereby highlighting the advantages and disadvantages of a certain strategic initiative. You can do so. However, in order to gain the best amount of marks, in order to make sure that you provide or develop a holistic answer, you need to utilize the SAF framework. So that's where your theoretical knowledge comes into play. The examiner, as I mentioned earlier, the examiner is never going to mention a theoretical element by its name, or the examiner is not going to name a theoretical concept. Instead, you need to know how and when relevant theoretical elements should be brought in with the intention of developing a high quality answer. Another example is something to do with your risk management related knowledge. So there will be a question which highlights certain type of risks faced by your company, and the examiner will ask you to come up with strategies to mitigate each type of risk. So when developing answers, you need to always use the knowledge which you have gained via your P3 syllabus, and at the same time, you need to understand the type of risks and mitigatory action which appears within your existing company's risk report. And when developing your answers, you need to say, okay, this is what's mentioned within the risk report. If there are shortcomings, you need to have the capability to highlight these shortcomings. And in order to avoid these shortcomings, you need to suggest better mitigatory action. So that's exactly why I say that application is crucial. Just because you know your theory, you won't be able to pass this exam. Just because you explain theories in depth, you won't pass this exam. Instead, you need to significantly focus your attention towards application skills. So if you're coming through an exemption route, most students, they have gaps in theory knowledge. And if you have gaps in theory knowledge, you won't know how to apply each type of theoretical elements when developing answers as and when needed. And on top of that, even if you are coming through the general route, even if you had completed your E3, F3, and P3 knowledge elements, if you don't know how to apply these theories in a practical sense as and when needed, then you won't pass this exam. So it's crucial that you improve your application skills. So you need to learn the entire theory and at the same time understand how to utilize theoretical elements as and when needed, because the examiner is not going to directly ask you to apply a certain theoretical concept. Instead, you should know what type of theoretical concept should be applied when developing your answers. So in order to address these two concerns, to teach you theoretical knowledge or technical elements, and at the same time to ensure that you understand and learn application skills, we have developed a set of master classes. And TCS is the only provider which has developed master classes which are totally aligned with each and every mock exam. So whilst taking you through the answers of each mock exam, we are teaching you the relevant theoretical concept covered within each mock, and at the same time we are also teaching you how to work on your application skills. So the best way and the easiest way to learn all theoretical elements and to also understand how to apply or improve your application skills, the easiest way is to watch our master classes. All right, so by watching the master classes and redeveloping answer plans, you can improve your technical knowledge as well as application skills. And the examiner will give you full marks if your answer is well structured. So this is exactly why at the third webinar, I mentioned the fact that you are supposed to stick to an answering technique. So after reading through each scenario, you are not supposed to start typing your answer straight away. Instead, you need to spend some time, something like 25 to 30 minutes of your time should be spent on developing something called an answer plan or an answer structure. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about, please watch the recorded version of the third webinar, which can be accessed via our student dashboard as well as our YouTube handle. So in the third webinar, I taught you what you need to do. Right after reading through each scenario, you are supposed to develop something called an answer plan. That is when you are trying to understand what you should include within the answer. That is when you are focusing on structuring your answer appropriately. Because if you do so, when you are spending a considerable amount of time to develop an answer plan, to plan out your answer, to structure your answer, you can always make sure that your answer is totally aligned with the requirement. You can always make sure that you have brought in relevant theoretical knowledge, and at the same time focused on you can always focus on your application skills. If you do so, you will come up with well structured answers. So that is why it's crucial for you to master your answering technique. And once you have structured your answer, or once you have come up with an answer plan, utilizing the remaining time, which is something like 25 to 30 minutes of your time, you are supposed to expand your answer in paragraph form. So, if there were 7 valid points within your answer plan, in your final answer, you need to have 7 different paragraphs. So the examiner wants you to come up with well-structured answers. And after structuring each answer, per answer point, you need to develop a paragraph. So your final answer should look something like this. Your final answer should be in paragraph form. However, when developing the answer plan should look something like this. So this is an answer skeleton, or an answer structure, or a summary of the entire answer. And once you have a summary or an answer structure, when it comes to typing, you have to expand your answer in paragraph form, and your final answer should look like this. Okay, so we have covered these two elements as well. So you won't get it right just because you learn the answering technique. You have to keep practicing this technique over and over across the 6 mock exams which we have developed. Because if you do so, it's as if you are practicing the answering technique 18 times over. That is enough and more time for you to master it by the time you are walking into your real exam. And on top of that, if you are bringing in arguments at this stage, you are supposed to be involved with long-term decision making. So as a decision maker, you have to come up with recommendations. Whenever you are suggesting something, you have to back it up with appropriate justifications. All your arguments should be backed up with appropriate justifications. If not, it's simply because simply just by recommending something, you won't get marks. If you're recommending something, always make sure that you explain it fully, so that you are actually assisting the decision maker. So you are reporting to a CFO, your CFO, or a director of your company. So when doing so, you are not simply supposed to come up with recommendations without appropriate justifications, because if you do so, your CFO will have to send you another email asking you for explanations. So that should not be how you develop answers. Instead, you should make the life of your CFO easy. As an individual who is assisting the CFO or some other director, whenever you come up with recommendations, you have to back it up with appropriate justifications, just like what you do in a real life corporate setting. So in order to develop good answers, you need to develop answers which are totally aligned with the requirement. And in order to do this, you are supposed to simplify each requirement in your own words, so that you have a simplified requirement. It makes your life easy when it comes to gaining a clear understanding of the requirement. And you need to show that you have gained an appropriate amount of technical knowledge, as well as you have mastered your application skills. We have developed master classes focused on these two elements, and after learning these two elements, you are supposed to test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans on your own. And in order to develop well-structured answers, when attempting each mock exam, you are supposed to focus your attention towards developing answer plans. And once you have an answer plan, as per our answering technique, you need to allocate 25 to 30 minutes of your time to expand the answer plan in paragraph form. And whenever you are coming up with, you are suggesting something, you need to back it up with appropriate justification. So if you achieve all these elements, you will get extremely good marks at your exam. So with that in mind, stick to the techniques which we have highlighted, stick to our study plans, because if you do so, across each of the 6 mock exams, you will be practicing or covering all these elements. Okay, then before the exam, what are you expected to achieve? You are supposed to study all areas of the syllabus. So I've dealt with so many students who think that they can avoid certain theoretical concepts when conducting preparations for the SCS exam. However, the examiner tells something else. The examiner tells that you should be conversant with all syllabus elements, because as I mentioned earlier, you can come up with your own arguments or your own type of answers at your examination. But in order to make sure that you gain the full marks, or the most amount of marks for each section, you have to utilize your theoretical knowledge which you have gained via your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. So you have to be conversant with the entire syllabus. If not, you won't know how to tackle certain type of questions at your exam. If so, you'd end up failing your examination. So this is the examiner who is asking you to study all syllabus elements. So if that is the case, you have to be conversant with all syllabus elements. However, you need not worry. We have developed the 6 mock exams covering all syllabus elements, which can be tested at the exam. So if you stick to our study plan and complete all 6 mocks and conduct your revision focused on the same 6 mock exams, you will gain a good understanding of how each syllabus area can be tested at your real examination. And you need to work on application or improving your application skills. So this is exactly why you need to keep repeating the answering technique across the 6 mock exams. And on top of that, you are supposed to watch the master classes to significantly improve your application skills. And your preparations should not stop there. You need to take a step further, which is to redevelop answer plans. After watching the 3 master classes developed for each mock exam, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans on your own. That is when you are fine-tuning your application skills. So you will learn application skills by watching the master classes. Then you need to fine-tune your application skills. You need to test whether you have gained something via the master classes. With this in mind, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans focused on each mock exam. And if you stick to this process, you will significantly improve your application skills. And before the exam, you are supposed to practice tasks or practice mock exams. And when doing so, the examiner specifically mentions the fact that you are supposed to type or write full answers. So what are full answers? This is a situation where you need to sit in one place 3 hours at a stretch and attempt an entire mock exam in one go. I've dealt with students when it comes to attempting mock exams. They attempt each mock on a section by section basis. So, these students end up attempting, let's assume someone is attempting mock number 1. So there will be 3 sections in mock number 1. So there's a tendency for students to attempt the first section today, the second section tomorrow, and the third section of mock number 1 day after tomorrow. So you are taking breaks in between sections when conducting your preparations. However, at the real exam, you have to sit in one place and attempt all 3 sections in one go across 3 hours. So if you don't practice your mock exams under exam conditions, you will struggle at the exam. It's going to be a walk in the park when you allocate 1 hour of your time and attempt one single section, then take a break and attempt the second section later. It's going to be extremely easy. However, at the exam, that will not be the case. You have to sit in one place and attempt all 3 sections in one go. If so, when doing so, what happens is you'd be comfortable in section number 1, but halfway through section number 2, you'd be exposed to fatigue. And in section number 3, when you are exposed to fatigue, this leads to stress, and extreme levels of stress leads to something called brain freeze. So this is a situation where nothing comes into your head. You are trying to develop an answer. You are trying to read through the scenario, but nothing goes into your head. And at the same time, nothing comes out from your head as well. So, rather than being exposed to brain freeze at your real exam, it's best that you are exposed to brain freeze or stressful situations when conducting your preparations, because in today's session, I'm going to teach you what you need to do to manage your stress levels. So it's of utmost importance that you attempt each mock exam under exam conditions. If so, you'd be exposed to stressful situations. And once you know what to do to overcome a stressful situation, you can practice it across the 6 mock exams. If so, you will successfully manage your stress levels at your real examination. And on top of that, you need to master the answering and time management technique under exam conditions, under a time pressured environment. So with this in mind, you have to attempt each mock exam under exam conditions. You are not supposed to attempt a mock exam on a section by section basis, at the same time taking breaks between each section. So that is exactly why we have developed an exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system on which you attempt your real examination. So we want you to master your answering and time management techniques by practicing each mock exam under exam conditions, just like at your real exam. If so, you will significantly improve your skill set, and at the same time, you'd know what to do when you are encountered with extreme levels of stress at your real examination. So I'm not just asking you to do this. The examiner is asking you to practice tasks by typing or writing full answers. Okay, so these are the things which you need to achieve before the exam, and during the exam, the examiner wants you to plan your answers. Why is this the case? Because as I mentioned earlier, good answers require well-structured answers. So I said that you need to develop something called an answer plan or an answer structure. And at the exam, the examiner wants you to do just that. So when conducting your preparations, you are supposed to focus your attention towards mastering the answering technique, or you need to know how to develop answer plans. You are supposed to do exactly that at your real exam as well. So this is why I'm saying that it's crucial that you master your answering and time management technique. And the only way to master your answering and time management technique is to keep repeating or practicing these techniques over and over across the 6 mock exams which we have developed for you. If you master it, you will successfully develop answer plans. You will successfully manage your time at your real exam as well. So during the exam, you have to plan your answers. So stick to our answering technique, and the marker is under strict instructions to mark answers on their merits. So as I've mentioned in last week's webinar, or webinar number 3, you are not going to get any marks just because you provide a lengthy answer. Instead, the marker is looking at the substance or the quality of your answer, not the quantity. So that is why it's crucial for you to master the answering technique, because as per the answering technique which I taught you in last week's webinar, what you are supposed to do is before developing the answer plan, you are supposed to understand how much marks are allocated for each subtask. In order to determine the mark allocations, you need to look at the weightage provided. So based on the weightage, determine mark allocations. Based on mark allocations, determine the number of points you need to include under each subtask. And once you know this, it makes your life easy when it comes to developing the answer plan, because when you are aligning your answer plan with mark allocations, you are making sure that you are developing an answer which is not too short or too long. Your answer is exactly aligned with mark allocations. So again, as I mentioned earlier, this is not easy. This needs some practice. That's exactly why you need to stick to our answering technique and keep repeating the same technique over and over across the 6 mock exams, with the intention of gaining the most amount of marks at your real examination. So the marker is not going to look at the length of your answer. Instead, the marker is going to look at how many points, valid points you have included within the answer. And out of these valid points, how many are accurate and how many are irrelevant to the requirement. That's how marks are going to be awarded to you at your real examination. So in order to get these elements right at your real exam, in order to plan out your answers successfully, in order to make sure that you develop answers which are totally aligned with mark allocations, and which will ensure that you gain the most amount of marks, you need to keep practicing the answering and time management techniques when conducting your preparations. All right, so that's what the examiner tells us to achieve when conducting preparations and also on the day of the exam. Okay, so before we move on to the latter parts of today's sessions, let me quickly remind you of what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the SCS page. If you are yet to create a free user account, click on this button and create a free user account. And once you have done so, you can access our student dashboard by clicking on this button. And once you are on the student dashboard, click on My Courses. And in front of SCS Free, you'd see a button which reads as Access Content. Click on it. And once you click on it, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the webinars and workshops which we conduct on a weekly basis. So if you missed out on last week's crucial webinar, in which I taught you answering and time management technique, and as per the CIMA examiner, you are supposed to master these techniques when conducting your preparations, and you have to implement these same techniques at your real examination. So it's crucial that you learn these techniques. You can simply watch the recording of the third webinar via the exam platform itself. And you also have access to the study material, the pre-seen mind map. I hope you have already downloaded this. I shared this via the WhatsApp group last week as well. And also you'd gain access to the syllabus coverage document, which indicates all the syllabus elements you have to be conversant with when conducting your preparations. And we have made sure to cover all these syllabus elements across our 6 mock exams. So, download this document as well. And you'd also gain access, you'd also gain access to the answer plan of the free mock exam. And via the mocks tab, you'd gain access to the questions and the suggested answers of the free mock. And you also have the opportunity of attempting the free mock exam, which is mock number 1, under exam conditions. So this is an exam type, pre-seen specific full mock examination, which can be attempted via our exam platform. So, this is the best way to practice your answering and time management technique. This is the best way to gain an exposure into what type of stressors you'd face at your real exam. So with that in mind, attempt this mock exam under exam conditions via our exam platform by clicking on this button. So these are the free resources on offer. So make sure to create a free user account by clicking on this button. And if you are interested on investing in our paid content, click on this button and check out the resources on offer. And you can also join our SCS WhatsApp discussion forum. So click on this button and join it. And once you are part of this forum, you can engage in group learning. And at the same time, we will be sharing a lot of resources, free resources with you via this WhatsApp group. You can always ask questions, and I'm always ready to help you guys out. And I will also keep you guys informed about the weekly webinars, the commencement dates and times via this WhatsApp group. So if you're yet to join it, please click on this button and join the group. And talking about what we offer 2 packages, the value pack and the premium pack. The value pack is designed for those who are coming through the general route, or those who had completed their E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. So since you have already learned theory, you need not spend time to, polish your knowledge. Instead, it's simply a matter of focusing your attention towards improving your application skills. So under the value pack, you'd gain access to the recordings of all webinars and workshops which are conducted on a weekly basis. You will gain access to 6 mock exams with suggested answers. So on top of the free mock exam, which is mock exam 1, you will gain access to 5 additional mock exams. And as I mentioned earlier, we have made sure to cover all syllabus elements when developing these 6 mock exams. Then you'd also gain access to pre-scene analysis videos, 3 videos in total, because your pre-scene is divided into 3 main components. So focused on each component, we have developed pre-scene analysis videos. And once you have watched these videos, you need not conduct your own preparations focused on the pre-scene. You need not conduct your own research. We have done it for you. And you'd also gain access to the annotated pre-scene and the industry and financial analysis slides. Let me quickly show you what is included within these resources. So on top of the normal pre-scene which you'd gain access to, we have come up with annotations with the intention of summarizing the entire pre-scene. So you can gain a good understanding of the entire pre-scene once you read through these summaries. And at the same time, as part of these same annotations, we have also highlighted probable exam scenarios which can be tested. And based on these exam scenarios, the probable syllabus elements which can be tested at your exam. So this is the best way to gain an understanding of what type of information is included within your pre-scene, and at the same time, gain a good understanding of probable scenarios which can be thrown at you at your exam. Also, to gain an understanding of the syllabus elements which can be tested at your real examination. And if I take you through the industry analysis slides, I've already taken you through this document partially in the second webinar when conducting a pre-scene analysis. So our industry analysis slides are divided into 4 main parts. In the first part, we have defined the industry. In the second part, we have explained information about the competitive landscape. And in the third, we have highlighted industry trends. So based on these industry trends, scenarios will be developed at your real examination. And at the very end, considering 2 real-life companies, we have provided examples so that you gain a better understanding of how real-life companies or what real-life companies go through within your chosen industry. And similarly, we have evaluated each of the financial statements of your own company and its closest competitor. So we have evaluated the SOPL, the SOFP, as well as the statement of changes in equity. And we have made sure to keep things simple so that you gain a clear understanding of the financial standing of your own company. And we have also conducted a ratio analysis at the very end, and we have evaluated each ratio, and we have made sure to keep things simple so that you gain a good understanding of what happens within your chosen company. Not just within your chosen company, we have also compared the ratios of your chosen company with its closest competitor so that you gain a better understanding of the financial standing of your chosen company. So these are the resources on offer under the value pack, and you'd also gain access to the top 20 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable syllabus elements or theoretical concepts or scenarios which can be tested at your exam. You'd also gain access to a case study familiarization kit. Once you have read through this kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you can gain an in-depth understanding about the technicalities behind your SCS exam. You will also gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So you should opt for the value pack if you're coming through the general route and if you're comfortable with 100% self-learning. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you struggled with a certain theoretical concept, simply refer to the OTQ revision cards to brush up your knowledge in a jiffy. All right, so the value pack is priced at £299. And talking about the premium pack, this is designed for those who are coming through the exemption routes and those who had failed the SCS exam previously. So both these sets of students have the same issue. There are gaps in theory knowledge and there are issues with application. So with the intention of teaching you all theoretical concepts and also to make sure that you significantly improve your application skills, we have developed an additional set of resources and included them within the premium pack. So on top of what you'd gain access to under the value pack, you'd also gain access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt each mock exam under exam conditions, which is the best way to master your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. And as per what the examiner tells us, it's crucial that you attempt each mock exam under exam conditions. So that's exactly why we have given you the opportunity to attempt all 6 mocks under exam conditions in a platform which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system on which you'd attempt your real exam. And you'd also gain access to one-on-one tutor feedback on the last 3 mock exams. So this is the type of feedback you'd get if you opt for the premium package. You can see that we have evaluated each paragraph, and if there are shortcomings, we have highlighted them. Not just the shortcomings, we have also included what you need to do to overcome each shortcoming as part of this feedback. And you can see the type of feedback you'd receive at TCS, extensive feedback, I should say. And at the very end, we have included mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. Not just mark allocations, we have also indicated a success rate. So by looking at this success rate, you can easily understand the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. And as per our study plan, after receiving tutor feedback, you should redevelop answer plans on your own. I explained all these things in depth in the 3rd webinar. So if you missed out on it, please go watch it. So when it comes to redeveloping answer plans, you should not focus on the entire mock exam. Instead, simply focus on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow, thereby focusing your attention primarily towards overcoming your shortcomings. But if you look at this answer script, this student has not done a good job, because in all subtasks, this student has achieved a failure. So when you receive feedback like this, you are expected to redevelop the answer plan focused on the entire mock exam. However, in certain subtasks, if you had done well, you need not redevelop answer plans. Instead, solely focus your attention towards overcoming your shortcomings when redeveloping answer plans after receiving tutor feedback. Also, we provide general comments at the very end as well. So although this student gained 31 marks for this mock exam, at the real exam, this student ended up passing by gaining 84 marks. So, although when attempting each mock exam, your performance might be substandard, but don't get demotivated. If you stick to our study plan and watch the master classes, and based on it, if you conduct your revision, then you can significantly improve your chances of passing at your real examination. All right, so that's the type of feedback we offer under the premium pack. Also, you'd gain access to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams. So as I mentioned earlier, this is what an answer plan looks like. So this is an answer structure. So rather than you having to go through pages and pages of suggested answers, you can easily understand how to structure each answer. You can easily understand what type of theoretical concepts are brought in with the intention of improving the quality of the answer. You can also clearly understand as and when pre-seen information had been brought in. And this helps you when it comes to revision as well, because as per our study plan, after attempting each mock exam, you are supposed to watch the master classes. After watching master classes, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans. So when it comes to redeveloping answer plans, after doing so, you can always compare your fresh answer plans to TCS's answer plans to gain a further understanding of where you need to improve, how your skill set can be enhanced. So this is the best way to improve your theory, knowledge, and application. And at the same time, this is the best way to conduct your revision by comparing your fresh answer plans to TCS's answer plans. So, and on top of that, you'd also gain access to 15 master classes. So from mock 2 onwards, we have developed master classes focused on each section. So in each mock exam, there are 3 sections. So 3 sections into 5 mocks come up to 15 master classes in total. And in each master class, we have taught you the logic of each answer. And at the same time, we have taught you the relevant theoretical concept covered within each mock exam. Also, we have highlighted how to work on your application skills. And once you have watched these master classes, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans, thereby further refining your answering technique. And once you have access to all this content, you can pass for sure, hence the pass guarantee. So if you invest on the premium content and end up failing, you will gain access to the premium content in your subsequent sitting free of charge. However, in order to claim the pass guarantee, you have to fulfill these 3 requirements. You have to complete all 6 mock exams. Don't expect to pass by simply attempting 4 or 5 mocks. In order to make sure that you have a well-rounded understanding of all theoretical elements, how each syllabus area can be tested at the exam, you have to complete all 6 mock exams. And when attempting each mock exam, I don't want you to go through the answers, or in other terms, I don't want you to watch the master classes, the answer plans or suggested answers. Instead, when attempting each mock exam, try to come up with logical answers and try to give your best shot as much as possible, because when you do so, then you'd encounter stressful situations. Then you'd know that you are struggling with certain subtasks. I want you to struggle when attempting each mock exam, because it's good to struggle right now when conducting preparations rather than to struggle at your real exam. Because if you struggle when attempting each mock exam, you'd do something better when it comes to conducting revision, because you can always learn how to structure the answer in the most appropriate manner by watching the master classes. So when attempting each mock exam, try to give your best shot, do it on your own, don't refer to any answers. Then you will understand your shortcomings. You can always overcome your shortcomings when watching the master classes and by redeveloping answer plans. And you are supposed to meet the performance criteria of 40% or higher for the last 3 mock exams. We have come up with this performance criteria to make sure that you do a serious job when attempting the last 3 mocks, especially given the fact that you are receiving tutor feedback for them. So once you complete these 3 requirements, you will pass for sure. That is why we are providing a pass guarantee. So if you invest on the premium pack, the price of the premium pack will be £899, which can be paid in 2 installments of £449 each, or you can opt to pay in full. If so, you will save £100 and the price will be just £799. You can invest on your preferred package by clicking on either of these buttons. So let's try to figure out what we are supposed to do within this week as per our study plan. 3 or 4 students, if I'm not mistaken, 3 students are sticking to this original 8-week study plan. So if you're one of these students, kudos to you. Keep up the good job. And within this week, you are supposed to direct your attention towards mock exam 3. So if you're sticking to the original study plan, you should be done with the first 2 mock exams by now. So within this week, you need to dedicate 9 hours of study time, and you need to dedicate 3 hours of your time to attempt mock exam 3 under exam conditions via our exam platform. Once you are done with it, in order to learn theory and improve our application, in order to understand how to structure your answer, watch the 3 master classes which we have developed for mock exam 3, which will again take 3 hours of your time. And once you have watched these master classes, your preparations don't stop there. You are supposed to redevelop answer plans, thereby trying to understand whether you have gained something via these master classes. This is when you are trying to refine your answering technique. So when doing so, you can take 3 hours. I don't want you to time redevelop answer plans under timed conditions. Instead, your objective when it comes to redeveloping answer plans is to make sure that you fine tune your answering technique. And after you have redeveloped your answer plans, compare your fresh answer plans to TCS's answer plans to further understand what your shortcomings are. So within this week, dedicate 9 hours of your time and attempt mock number 3. So you should only do this if you're sticking to our original 8-week study plan. And in last week's webinar, I shared a 5-week study plan with you. So a certain set of students, started preparations just last week. Still, you have enough time. Even if you start right now, you have enough time. So although I shared a 5-week study plan with you, if you did not start your preparations as yet, please drop me a message via WhatsApp and I will share a 4-week study plan with you. So don't wait until the last moment. You still have enough and more time to attempt the 6 mocks, watch all master classes, and fine-tune your answering technique, thereby conducting revision. So if you are yet to start preparations, don't worry, you have enough time. Simply drop me a message. I will share a personalized study plan with you. Okay, so that's what we offer at TCS. And then let's move on to the second part of today's webinar, in which I'm going to share some tips with you with regards to developing confidence and managing your stress levels. All right, so it's of utmost importance that you develop your confidence before the exam. So in order to develop a high level of confidence, what are you expected to do? You have to focus your attention towards improving your skill set. So the only way to improve your skill set is to stick to our original 8-week study plan or the 5-week study plan, which I shared with you last week. And if you're yet to start, I will share a 4-week study plan with you as well. So if you stick to our study plan, you are taking steps to significantly improve your skill set. And if you improve your skill set, you will end up passing comfortably at your SCS exam. So first things first, stick to the study plan in order to improve your skill set. If you do so, you will invariably improve your level of confidence as well. And it's best that you stick to a routine in the upcoming 4 weeks. I don't know whether you usually stick to a routine. If not, at least focus on the upcoming weeks, 4 weeks, stick to a routine. So wake up and sleep at a predetermined time. And if you're finding it hard to wake up and sleep at a predetermined time, you have to focus on your daily meal intake. Have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner at predetermined times. If so, you will fall asleep at a certain time. And if you fall asleep at a certain time, then you are capable of waking up at a certain time as well. So if you don't stick to a routine, at least focused on the upcoming 4 weeks, try to stick to a certain routine, because if you do so, you are taking steps to be relaxed both physically and mentally. And when you are mentally relaxed, you can focus your attention towards conducting your preparations focused on the SCS exam, because I know for a fact that this is a tough exam. So you won't have enough time. You feel that you don't have enough time to conduct your preparations because on top of your family duties, you have to fulfill your corporate duties, and on top of all these responsibilities, when you have to conduct preparations, it's not easy. That is exactly why I'm helping you guys out with the study plans. So simply stick to the study plans. If so, you are in a position to manage your studies on top of carrying out all other responsibilities. And in order to balance all these things, your daily responsibilities with educational responsibilities, or with the intention of focusing on education, what you need to do is you need to stick to a routine. And whenever you feel stressed or whenever you feel fatigued, it's of utmost importance that you carry out breathing exercises. In a little while, you will know how these breathing exercises will be beneficial for you. And at the same time, in a little while, I will also teach you how to carry out these breathing exercises in a practical sense. Okay, so whenever you feel stressed or whenever you feel fatigued, you need to focus your attention towards breathing. You learn how to do these things in a little while when I'm teaching you stress management techniques. And again, so sticking to a routine is crucial, and stick to our study plan. And as per our study plan, you are supposed to attempt mock exams, 6 mock exams in total. And when attempting each mock exam, your job should be to fine tune your answering and time management technique. Because as per what I highlighted at the inception of today's webinar, I said the fact that the examiner wants you to structure your answers. If you develop well-structured answers, you will get good marks. And on top of that, the examiner wants you to develop answer plans or plan out your answers at your real exam. So in order to successfully plan out your answers, you need to get your bearings with the answering and time management techniques, which we taught in webinar number 3. So when practicing mock exams, it's essential that you practice under simulated exam conditions so that you get your bearings with operating in a time-pressured environment. So use our mock exam platform. And on top of that, when attempting each mock exam, You have to do it in isolation, devoid of any disturbances, because at your exam, there won't be any disturbances. So you need to replicate a similar environment when attempting each mock exam. And when attempting each mock, stick to the exam technique routine, which I highlighted in last week's webinar, which is to allocate 5 minutes of your time towards reading, 30 minutes of your time towards structuring your answer or developing something called an answer plan, and the remaining time, which is 25 minutes, should be allocated towards expanding your answer plan, thereby typing your final answer in paragraph form. So keep practicing these techniques across the 6 mocks. If so, you will improve your skill set. If you improve your skill set, you will gain a better level of, or a higher level of confidence. So if you are done with the first mock exam, you know what I'm talking about. So I taught you an answering technique last week, and I said that you are supposed to develop answer plans within 30 minutes. But when you try to implement these techniques for the first time, you would have understood that although I'm asking you to develop answer plans within 30 minutes, you take 45 to 50 minutes. That's quite normal because you are trying to do something new. So that is exactly why you need to keep replicating these techniques across the 6 mock exams. If so, you will master answering and time management, thereby gaining a new skill. And this skill will help you improve your confidence, because by the time you are done with the 6th mock exam, you understand that you have the capability of developing answer plans within 30 minutes. You'd always remember, okay, when I was attempting mock exam 1, it took me 45 minutes to develop the answer plan, but now I'm doing the same thing within just 30 minutes. This itself will, drive your confidence levels, and when you have better confidence levels, you will not be under undue stress at your exam. You will not see everything as a challenge which cannot be overcome. At the exam, you will try to give your best shot when you believe in yourself. So the only way to start believing in yourself is to improve your skill set. So in order to improve your skill set, stick to the study plan. If possible, stick to a routine. And when practicing each mock exam, do it under exam conditions, whilst implementing the answering and time management techniques which we have taught you. This is the only way to develop your confidence before the exam. And when attempting each mock exam, you will be exposed to stressful situations. So let's try to figure out how to overcome these stressful situations. So in last week's webinar, I taught you an answering and time management technique. On top of that, when attempting each mock exam, now you should start practicing stress management techniques as well. I didn't teach you this technique last week because implementing answering and time management techniques for the first time in itself is an arduous process. On top of it, I didn't want you to highlight these techniques as well, because when you're struggling with answering and time management, you won't be capable of managing or focusing your attention towards how to manage stress levels as well. So that is why I'm teaching you stress management techniques within the 4th webinar or this week's webinar. So before we try to understand how to manage our stress levels, let's try to figure out how our brain functions, especially in a time pressured environment. So if you are to develop the best quality answers at your examination, you have to utilize the prefrontal cortex, which is the front part of your brain. So if a human being is utilizing the prefrontal cortex, such an individual is in a position to come up with the best type of solutions to the issues at hand, or such an individual has the capability or carries the capability to do something in a creative manner, and at the same time come up with answers which are rational at all times. So you are in a position to keep out your emotions when developing answers at your exam if you utilize your prefrontal cortex. So as a senior finance manager, you should not come up with emotional answers or emotional recommendations. You should not consider emotions when conducting evaluations. Instead, you have to always be rational as much as possible. So if you are to come up with the best type of answers, you have to come up with rational answers. And in order to develop rational answers, you should utilize your prefrontal cortex, or the front part of your brain. But the issue is, when you're operating under a time pressured environment, your prefrontal cortex wants to take a rest every 30 to 45 minutes. So when you're focused on something, after 30 minutes or 45 minutes, especially when you're operating in a time pressured environment, you will encounter some type of stress. So that is your brain asking you to take a break. So, if you don't take a break, you would be exposed to extreme levels of stress. So at office, let's assume in a real life corporate environment, at office, you are focusing on something, you are trying to meet a deadline, and 30 to 45 minutes down the line, your brain will ask you to take a rest. So you can do so at office. You can, walk off your cabin, have a chat with your colleagues. You can have a coffee or a cup of tea, or if you're into smoking, you can take a cigarette break or whatnot. So you can take a break at office when you are exposed to some type of a stressful situation. However, at the exam, can you do this? You can't. So you can't take a break at the exam, and you know for a fact that you are supposed to keep using your prefrontal cortex. When it wants to switch off, still you have to keep moving forward. So when you try to strain your prefrontal cortex, when it wants to take a break, when you are telling it to keep going, what happens is this leads to extreme levels of stress, and extreme levels of stress leads to a situation where your brain functions will shift from your prefrontal cortex to a small part of our brain, which is known as the amygdala, which is depicted in blue in this image. So when your brain functions are shifted to the amygdala, you will be exposed to, or you will experience the fight or flight response. You'd get emotional. There will be hormonal secretions as well, which will further intensify your emotions. So as I mentioned earlier, if you have to come up with high quality answers, you have to be rational at all times. But when your prefrontal cortex is, when your amygdala is in full play, you can't do so. You will become emotional, and these emotions will lead to undue panic. And I said that whenever you are exposed to extreme levels of stress, most individuals, encounter something called brain freeze. Brain freeze is a situation where you can't think, or nothing comes into your head. If you have done a CIMA case study previously, you know what I'm talking about. At the exam, most students, encounter something called brain freeze. So, when nothing comes into your head, this leads to panic. And when you panic, you will try to finish off the exam as fast as possible. Why is this the case? Because the amygdala wants you to move away from a stressful situation. So as I mentioned earlier, the amygdala gives out the fight or flight response. A flight response is a situation where the brain is telling you to move away from a stressful situation. So at the exam, the only way to move away from the stressful situation is to finish off the exam as fast as possible. So most students end up, especially towards sections 2 and 3, most students end up providing half-hearted answers. So let me quickly take you through this mark sheet of one of the feedback which we had given. You can see in section number 1, the marks seem all good. The success rate is somewhere around 30 to 40%. And in section number 2, it had gone down to 0 to 30%. And in section number 3, the success rate is between 0 to 6%. So by looking at this answer script itself, by looking at these marks itself, you can gain a good understanding of how stress impacts the quality of your answers. So towards the last task, because by the time the student is in section number 3, you are done with 2 hours of your time. You are exposed to fatigue, and on top of that, you are exposed to stressful situations. And when you don't take steps to overcome these stressful situations, yet if you try to keep fighting or move forward, you would be exposed to extreme levels of stress. Extreme levels of stress leads to brain freeze, and when you are experiencing brain freeze, you cannot come up with quality answers. So that is exactly why you can see in these 3 subtasks, the success rate is 0, because the student has not gained any marks for these 3 subtasks and only 1 single mark for the last subtask. This happens due to stress. So you need to know how to manage a stressful situation, so that is a flight response, A fight response is a situation where the brain tells you to fight the stressful situation. So when it comes to fighting the stressful situation, you need to know what to do to get your bearings, or you need to know how to switch off the amygdala, because if you switch off the amygdala, that's the best way to fight off a stressful situation. So rather than blindly trying to fight a stressful situation, rather than blindly trying to keep going, whenever you are exposed to a stressful situation, you need to take steps to understand what leads to stress, which is your amygdala. And if you take steps to switch off your amygdala, you are taking steps to make sure that you are shifting your brain functions from the amygdala back to the prefrontal cortex. So let's try to understand how to do this in a little while. So first things first, as I mentioned earlier, you can focus, you can keep utilizing your prefrontal cortex when operating under a time pressured environment for just 30 to 45 minutes. So if you stick to our answering technique, you will achieve just that, because you are supposed to allocate 5 minutes of your time to read through the scenario, then allocate 30 minutes of your time for planning. So all in all, you are supposed to dedicate 35 minutes of your time for reading and planning. This is the toughest part. And once you are done with developing an answer plan, your life becomes easier when it comes to typing your answer, utilizing the remaining 25 minutes of your time. So you are supposed to utilize your prefrontal cortex 100% when reading and planning. However, when it comes to typing, it's as if you are taking a rest. Why am I saying this? Because when it comes to typing, you are simply supposed to expand the answer plan in paragraph form. So by this time, you know what should include within your answer, because you have planned out your answer already. You know what type of points should appear within your answer. So your the toughest part of your job is done. When it comes to typing, it's simply a matter of expanding your answer plan. So if you stick to this answering technique, or if you stick to this routine, it's as if you are taking a break towards the last 25 minutes of each section. So you are utilizing your prefrontal cortex 100% when in the first 35 minutes when you are reading and planning. And once you have a plan at your disposal, you know what to include within the answer. So your job is relatively easier now. So you need not strain your prefrontal cortex when it comes to typing your answer towards the last 25 minutes of each section. So if you stick to this answering technique, you are utilizing your prefrontal cortex 100% in the first 35 minutes, and then it's as if you are taking a break in the remaining time. So when you do this, you are taking steps to ensure that you are not overburdening your prefrontal cortex. Instead, you are taking a break towards the last 20 to 25 minutes of each section. This is the best way to avoid unnecessary stresses at your examination. So as I mentioned earlier, this is why it's crucial for you to master the answering and time management technique by practicing these techniques, which I taught you in last week's webinar, across the 6 mock exams. If so, you will gain the ability to read through the entire scenario within just 5 minutes, develop the answer plan focused on each section within 30 minutes. And if you master these 2 elements, typing becomes extremely easy because it's simply a matter of expanding your answer plan within 25 minutes. So if you stick to this answering technique, towards the last 25 minutes of each section, you are taking a break. You are making sure that you are resting your prefrontal cortex up to a certain extent. So stick to the answering technique routine to manage stressful situations, or avoid undue stress. Even if you stick to this technique, especially towards section number 3, because by the time you are in section number 3, you have spent 2 hours of your time, which is not easy. You are operating in a time pressured environment, although you are taking steps to take a break towards the last 20 to 25 minutes of each section by sticking to our answering technique. We are human beings. When you sit in one place for too long, and when you try to do the same thing over and over under stressful conditions, you will experience fatigue. So when you are experiencing fatigue, your brain will ask you to take a break. So irrespective of whether you are sticking to this answering technique or not, there will be stressful situations at your real exam. So whenever you, even after sticking to this answering technique, if you are still exposed to stressful situations, now you know what to do. You know for a fact that your amygdala is creating these stressful situations, so you need to take steps to switch off your amygdala. And the only way to switch off your amygdala is to close your eyes and breathe slowly for 2 minutes. This is the only way to switch off your amygdala and ensure that you shift your brain functions to your prefrontal cortex. So close your eyes and breathe slowly for 2 minutes. When inhaling, inhale through your nose. When exhaling, exhale from your mouth. And when it comes to inhaling, count to 3 slowly, and do the same when exhaling, count to 3 slowly. So when inhaling, count to 3 in this space, 1, 2, 3. And when exhaling, count to 3 in this space, 1, 2, 3. So when you do this for 2 minutes, you are taking steps to rest your brain. You are making sure that you are calm and composed. You are not reacting as per the fight or flight response which you are exposed to. You are not taking steps to unduly move out of the stressful situation. You are trying to fight the stressful situation in the most effective manner, which is to switch off the amygdala and to get your brain functions back to your prefrontal cortex. So the only way to achieve this is to stick to the breathing technique, which I taught you right now. And most students who end up gaining good marks at the SCS exam, take a 2-minute break before attempting each section, because it's best to reset your brain or refresh your brain before attempting each section. So let's assume you are done with section number 1 and you are in section number 2. You can see that the timer is counting down from 60 minutes. And before you start reading through the scenario, close your eyes and breathe. Focus on your breathing for 2 minutes. Inhale through your nose, exhale from your mouth. When inhaling, count to 3 slowly. When exhaling, count to 3 slowly. If you do so, it's as if you are resetting your brain. You are taking steps to get or achieve a greater level of calmness. And if you're calm, then you read through the scenario without any stresses. And when you don't have any stresses when reading through the scenario, when it comes to developing the answer plan, again, you are making sure that you are utilizing your prefrontal cortex. So it's best whenever you are exposed to a stressful situation, focus on your breathing and get out of it. And it's best practice to focus on your breathing at the start of each section, especially sections 2 and 3. If you do so, you will manage your stresses in a successful manner at your real exam. And also, it makes sense to drink some water, because then it will help you calm your nerves. However, if you're attempting the exam at home, you can't have a water bottle with you. And in certain examination centers, the invigilators won't let you take a water bottle. If so, you don't have this option at your disposal. And if that is the case, you can only overcome a stressful situation by sticking to our answering technique and focusing on your breathing. So simply, in a nutshell, stick to our answering technique. If you do so, towards the last 20 to 25 minutes of each section, it's as if you are taking a break, which will be tremendously important for you, because when you are taking a break, you are taking steps to avoid undue stressful or unnecessarily stressful situations. So that's step number 1. And if you still encounter stress, focus on your breathing, close your eyes and focus on your breathing for 2 minutes to switch off your amygdala. And it's best practice for you to take a break or focus on your breathing for 2 minutes before starting each section, which is ideally you taking steps to take a break, make sure that your prefrontal cortex is resting, and at the same time making sure that you are thinking through your prefrontal cortex when it comes to reading and developing the answer plan. All right. So I want you to keep practicing these techniques across the upcoming mock exams. If you do so, you will successfully manage your stress levels at your real examination. So you have not only learned an answering and time management technique, now you know a stress management technique as well. I want you guys to keep practicing these three techniques in the upcoming mock exams with the intention of gaining the best amount of marks at your real examination. Because if you manage your stress levels, the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge and application. The examiner also wants to understand whether you are capable of, being a management accountant, or in other terms, whether you are capable of being a responsible senior finance manager. So any senior finance manager or a management accountant out there will come across stressful situations, and if you are to be successful at your job, you have to have the capability of managing each stressful situation. So the examiner is trying to figure out whether you can manage stress as well. So that is exactly why I've taught you these things. I want you to master answering, time management, and stress management techniques across the upcoming mock exams which we have scheduled for you. All right. So, and in the upcoming 4 weeks, you have to avoid these deflections. Don't rely on predictions, because anything can be tested at the exam. So, when attempting each mock exam, your objective should, and when conducting revision, your objective should not be to memorize the answers. You should not try to memorize the answer plans. Instead, try to get the logic of each answer. And at the exam, apply this logic when developing your answers. So don't rely on predictions, because you can't predict anything at this examination, especially given the fact that this is a highly practical examination. And excessive industry analysis is a killer. So there are students who tend to include real life information when developing answers, which makes absolutely no sense. Your pre-scene is developed on based on a fictitious company, which is based in a fictitious industry. So, when you are playing the role of a senior finance manager within a fictitious company, why should you bring in information from, real life companies? So you should not do it. This happens when you try to, evaluate the industry unnecessarily. So don't conduct any research focused on the industry. Solely focus your attention towards the pre-scene at hand. And misguided use of past papers is an issue as well. So most students try to conduct their preparations focused on past papers. This won't help you, because the past papers are based on different pre-scene documents. And as I mentioned in last week's webinar, especially with regards to risk management, risk identification and risk management, or updating the risk register type of questions which can be thrown at you at your real exam, if you rely on past exam variants, you will be confused, because the risk report which appeared in a different pre-scene or previous pre-scene is totally different to the risk report you'd see within your own pre-scene document or your case study. So the only way to make sure that you are fully prepared is to attempt pre-scene specific mock exams. Don't rely on past exam variants or past papers, because if you do so, you'd be confused, because the answers will be totally aligned with the internal and external dynamics highlighted within a previous pre-scene, not your pre-scene. And information overload is a killer. That's exactly why I want you guys to stick to this three-step study process which we have developed. So step number 1 is to attempt the mock exam. Step 2 is to watch the master classes to learn theory and improve application. And step 3 is to redevelop answer plans. That's the only thing which you need to do focused on each mock exam. Do not spend time to learn theory on your own. Do not spend time to work out application on your own. If you do so, you'd run out of time when conducting preparations. So it's crucial to simply stick to the three-step process, because if you do so, you are taking step to master each mock exam, master your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. These are the things which are necessary to ensure a pass at your real examination. And overemphasis on the exam blueprint, is unnecessary as well. You will be wasting time if you try to go through the exam blueprint in depth, because all important elements which are highlighted within the exam blueprint are covered within the 4 webinars which we have conducted so far. Okay, so avoid these deflections. simply, you don't have a lot of time. You just have 4 weeks at your disposal. So simply stick to the 3-step process, which is to attempt a mock exam, then watch master classes after you have learned theory and application, test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans. Okay, so you might be attempting the exam at home. If so, click on this link and check out how the Pearson VUE system works. I will share this link after this session via the WhatsApp group as well. Okay, so we are happy to say that we achieved a 90% pass rate in the previous SCS examination. So if you stick to the study process, if you stick to the study plan, you can significantly improve your chances of passing. So don't wait until the last moment to start preparations, because if you do so, you'd have time to attempt all 6 mocks, but you won't have time to conduct your revision. You won't have time to watch all master classes. Even if you watch all master classes, if you don't invest time to redevelop answer plans, you are wasting your effort. So simply stick to the study plan and stick to the 3-step study process. If you do so, you will be successful at your real examination. Okay, having said that, I'm moving on to the Q&A. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can switch on your mic and talk, or you can drop a message via the chat. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks. So thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. If you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Visit our website and click on the contact button, and you can drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email. And if you want to email us, you can do so via info@study@tcs.com and WhatsApp us on this number as well. And I urge you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops will be uploaded to the YouTube handle. And via TikTok, you'd gain access to a set of videos, which is a good mind map of the entire pre-scene. So in the upcoming weeks, for instance, on your way to office, keep watching these TikTok videos to keep yourself constantly reminded about what appears within your pre-scene document. Having said that, it brings us to the end of the webinar series. So thank you very much for attending this webinar. So especially if you missed out on last week's webinar, which is which was the third webinar, please go watch the recorded version to learn answering and time management technique. And I expect you to join us for our workshop series, which we are kickstarting next week, in which I'm going to take you through a question to do with your F3 syllabus. And I will also be conducting a Q&A similar to what happened in today's webinar. So I hope to see you guys next week. I hope you stick to the study plans and start using our resources ASAP. Don't wait until the last moment. If so, you won't have enough time to conduct your revision. Revision is crucial. So start your preparations. And if you are yet to start preparations, and if you want to know how to tackle your studies in the upcoming 4 weeks, simply drop me a message via the WhatsApp number. I will share a personalized study plan with you. So I'll see you guys next week at 10 a.m. UK time. Thank you very much and take care.